Evening all, welcome back. Evening, late afternoon, dark outside. It is early January. Next job is to tackle the rear suspension on this Exocet. It's not as clean and well prepared, ready to go back on the car as the front suspension was. So what I'm going to do this evening, now in preparation for tomorrow when the weather looks like it will still be seriously cold. However, the sun should be out and it should be a glorious day. So if I can get the rear hubs disassembled, I say hubs, upright, drive shafts. If I can get everything disassembled this evening, call it a day, then tomorrow morning when the sun comes out, we can go outside with the angle grinder and a wire wheel and try and fettle it into some sort of shape where it's suitable for either a liquor paint or to go back on the car. So I'll turn you around, point you at the workbench, load up the workbench with work, and we'll take it from there. Job number one, I think we've got to assess what we've got. So this, again, I had the foresight to rattle off the hub nut when it was still on the car. Again, all four of these hub nuts have been mullered one way or another, trying to get them off. So just because the nut comes off doesn't mean the hub will pop off its taper. You probably noticed on the front, if you didn't, I'll point it out now, I didn't replace this, what is it, stone guard, mud guard of some description. And I'm not planning to, because I figure if you're driving around with a racing car on a smooth track, I can't see the need for it. If you think I'm nuts or I should be replacing those, let me know in the comments below. However, you know, it's a racing car. I'm going to be saving at least 20 grams per corner by not putting them back on. Anyway, I will try and dismantle this, work out how it happens, how it works, how it comes apart. We know there's a bearing in here, a bushing in here that needs pressing out so that we can put in the energy suspension polyurethane bushing. What have I done with this? It looks to me like that's had a brush over. The reason I'm not throwing this away, even though it's got a lip on it and it's pretty grim, is because in an attempt to rebuild the wheel, it'll serve a purpose purely for that purpose. It'll allow me to rebuild the back suspension using these old discs or rotors, depending which part of the planet you're from. So I will reuse that. Looks like I've already done an element of cleaning with that. And I think this is, well, I know this is the drive shaft. Yeah, the reason it's in that bag is because that spline, I'm trying to keep the crap off it, which it would appear I haven't done a particularly good job of. Again, I'm going to take these gaiters off. Well, am I? Because they've got the type of a Jubilee clip. It's not a Jubilee clip, is it? But the type of clip on it that once off won't be going back on again. Although I could replace them with Jubilee clips. So that needs work. Let me just show you. That looks, I'm sure you can see that in the camera there. If I lean that there, that looks grim, doesn't it? Horrendous, really grim. However, bear with me and I'll show you something. This is the drive shaft, which has got a little bit of surface rust on it now from being dripped on by the condensation, which I think I've solved by letting a bit more ventilation into the workshop. That was exactly the same as that, and all it's had is a bit of a wire wheel run around it on the angle grinder and a lick of the same black chassis paint. So I'm hopeful this will come out, these drive shafts will come out just as well as the drive shaft has. I guess these are called, do you call them half shafts? They're called all sorts of different things. Learning as we go. So let's put that to the back. This rotor disc, whatever you want to call it, can go to the back. It seems to me that the that I've got no idea how to take this apart. So let me give that some thought, decide on my first operation, which I think maybe is to pull the hub off, and we'll go from there. Plan of attack is indeed to remove the bushing, remove the hub. This is a cheap Chinese hub puller. Let's see if it works, shall we? I didn't pay a huge amount for it, as I'm sure you're aware, is it's a cheap Chinese hub puller. But basically, there's that word again, but I think it's fairly straightforward. That fits on there pretty well, to be honest. That then screws through there, or it will do when I put some, and as it protrudes through the other side, it'll go into the centre of there, thereby pushing off the hub. So the two things we require, I think, is some oil on here. What should we put? Favourite anti-seize, I guess, because we don't want it seizing. Although, to be fair, it's going to, it's never going to be there, is it? It's going to go straight in and straight out again. So let's try a bit of WD on it, just to help it on its way. That's, of course, going to lift straight off there because there's no wheel nuts in place at the moment. So the wheel nuts were in a shocking condition, but I have saved them. So I think over here, talking amongst yourselves, I'm going to get me a bag of wheel nuts. I think that for the purposes of trying to force this off, and I'll tell you what these are, you know, these are all shocking locking. These are all shocking locking wheel nuts. I took all the locking wheel nuts off 2 cars. The donor for this Exocet, I took them off, and the other donor, I say other donor, that's a story in itself. I've got 2 MX-5s. Well, that's not true. I've got an MX-5 outside, which is now my daily driver, which I am determined to keep going in an attempt to learn something about cars, because every time something goes wrong, I have to fix it. I've already had to rebuild the front brakes in their entirety, new calipers, new discs, new calipers, new discs, new pads. I think the brake lines were all right. Anyway, you get the gist. The idea is that rather than just relying on a garage, given that it's a 25-year-old car and it's based on the same mechanics as the Exocet, I should be able to fix it. So that's my plan. Anyway, I was really, I just don't like these locking wheel nuts. I think they're pointless. Quite why I've got 3 there, I don't know. But what I know I did do is I took all the locking hub nuts, all the locking wheel nuts off the donor car, which is outside. Let's call it the daily driver now for argument's sake. And I replaced the locking nuts on that car with the ordinary nuts that came off the Exocet. Cut a long story short, I've got a veritable plethora of locking nuts, which I don't need and don't want to use. And I think I'm fairly short then on ordinary wheel nuts for an MX-5. Or am I? Look at what, found another bag here. So between them, 2 cars, surely I should have a few spare. So I think these are the ordinary wheel nuts, but whether they're going to go down far enough, I don't know. Let's try. Let's try. I suppose they don't actually have to be tight. They just have to stop the, puller, the body of the puller from lifting. Anyway, let's screw them in as well as we can. That's bottomed out, and we're nowhere near the bottom. That's bottomed out nearly. No, it hasn't. What am I talking about? That's now. No, it hasn't. Still going. I wonder if that one's just. A little bit tight then. The best way to find out. Yeah, that seems to have worked on that side. So I think this one's maybe just a dodgy. Nut. And if it is a dodgy nut, Paul, do you want to be forcing it on, never to be able to get it off? That's a very good question. So let's try it for another one. I've got a selection of them, haven't I? So it's not as if I'm short of 1 or 2. Choose one with a good, that hasn't been chewed to death. wonder why that one went all the way on and that one didn't. No apparent reason why that should happen then, is there? Unless the stud's mullered and a little bit grim, which case could turn the whole thing round. So if 19 is too small, which it looks like it is, I would guess at a 22 mil. And if I guess, it'll be wrong. Oh, it's right. Look at that. Look at that. So that's spinning. So I've got to ask myself the question now, once this is on, how on earth am I going to stop it from spinning? Not sure, but one job at a time, eh? Let's get this wound down. I suppose the spinning motion is important. Will it go in the vise? It might do. That would mean moving you round. That's not the end of the world. I'm only going to get 2 nuts on because only 2 nuts line up as far as this puller is concerned with the studs on the wheel. 2 should be enough. We do have the option to introduce a little bit of heat as well into the proceedings, which would be rather welcome. Although I have taken my blowtorch down to the factory, which is at the other side of the North York Moors from where I am currently at home in the workshop, which is only about a 20-minute drive. It's not that far, but there we are. So that's in place. Is that the same? Yeah. That's now going down like that. Yeah, it's never pulled it off already, is it? I'm just winding that in. No. As if. Okay, so we need some sort of lever on there, I guess. Let's have a think. This is not pre-prepared, you've gathered, in any way. So you're finding out what I'm finding out. So let me see if I can find something that might give us a bit of leverage. There's a couple of bits of handy bits and bobs here. Would that go in there without damaging the hub too much? Without damaging the, what's the word I'm looking for? Stud too much. Possibly. Let's see how that goes. Nope. That's all right, we're learning. Okay, so something might go down there though. Get something in here. Yeah, I guess that now. If I'm pulling that way, yeah, we want something to go in there, don't we? So that might work. So we put that in the back with the, with that on there. How are we doing? Right, now we've got it held. You can pretty much see what I'm up to. Feels like it's going in. Haven't bottomed out. We're going to hear a crack in a minute, don't know. It's in the centre. If you just give it a tap as well, we go and get a Manchester spanner from over here. And give this a bit of a, see if we might be able to shock it. If it comes off, I'll be shocked. It's going. So we could go 22mm socket, probably in the large socket box. So 22mm could go on a breaker bar. A bigger breaker bar. And that hopefully will give us the purchase that we require without breaking anything. But I'm always, when you buy these cheap Chinese things, it wouldn't surprise me if brute force actually is more than the casting can handle. But let's see, let's not do it an injustice yet. Still going. Is anything bending or looking grim? Am I doing the right thing? Yeah, I must be. No, just worrying unnecessarily, he says. that back in there then. This back on here and keep going. Gently does it. Oh, it's a wriggler. See how we're getting on. We must be getting close to it popping off, surely. Well, I'm still going. Doesn't feel like it's getting any looser. Doesn't feel like it's getting any tighter either. By gum. That's the bar slipping rather than the hub coming off. Must be bending something. Common sense tells me I'm bending something because nothing's happening. Try to help it on its way. Which I don't think I appear to be doing. So let's resort back. Let's resort back to the puller and the spanner. Not got that quite right now. Whoop. And onwards. Well, it's certainly turning it, but I think if it was damaging the puller, it would have damaged it by now. So, what to do? I could undo it and see if it's made any difference visually once I do that. Oh! But this doesn't look to me to be overly great viewing for you. So, let me dismantle that. I don't think I'm threading the thread. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm just pulling the thread's just not got enough purchase on it. Suppose if anything was going to help it, that would, but it hasn't. Let me dismantle it, see what we've got, and you can join me then. Plan B. I took this puller off. Nothing seems to have bent. Don't seem to be any problems, but it's still firmly fixed in place. So now I've got the hub in the vise. Hub in the vise, yeah. Hub in the vise. Does that mean this won't turn? And if so, why does it mean it won't turn? I think what I'm worried about now is I don't want to damage the teeth. That's just popped off. I don't want to damage the teeth on the ABS ring, even though we may not be using the ABS. So trying to, there's two things to hold on to. Number one, I need to hold on to the actual casting, because the ABS ring is quite close now to the vice jaws. It has stopped that from spinning, but I don't want that to be what stops it from spinning. I want me to be what stops it from spinning. So that's why I'm going to put that in there. This is going to go one of two ways now, but you will be witness. So let's keep going. Oh, that sounded like it came away a bit. Don't know. Let's keep going. Hope I don't wallop you with said spanner. It's definitely getting tight. I expected on the cheap Chinese puller, if anything was to happen, it would be the threads in the puller just stripping straight out. But so far, it seems to be working, although it isn't pulling the hook off, is it? We're back at it, so let's try again. I'm going to carry on doing what we're doing. Nothing's gone bang yet, in a good way or a bad way. This is harder than it looks. Surely that should have pulled off the hub by now. It does appear to be, or cracked the puller, or threaded the puller thread. No, doesn't seem to be doing much, but it must be doing something because that thread's going in. So where is it going into? Let's keep going. Feels like it's a little easier now to turn. Don't know why. Something broken, something threaded. Let's give it a tap. That's the ABS ring, isn't it, getting in the way? Which we don't want to damage. Not that we need it, but you know what I mean. Tapping, tapping. What do you think? Right, let's tighten that up. Just from a... Hey! Let's try that casting there then. Is that a better bet? Ugh. The back... No, that's going to just wobble. The back, the front rather, hubs were much the same carry on, I have to say. Right palaver is how I would describe it, and this is probably not massive of massive interest to anyone, except if you're in the same boat and you're desperate to know how to get one of these hubs off. You can see that cracking if I get it too much of a bang on the puller. So that, so far, has made little or no difference. You tighten it up there, you're probably now right in my way. So I guess we can carry on. Feels a bit more sensible doing it this way. But it hasn't pulled the hub off yet. Must be going somewhere, that thread. That felt quite easy. Is it just going to ease it off? I expected a big bang. Or crack, you know. Moving in the vise. Stop, be patient, don't rush. Put it back. That's dropped down. It's a nightmare. Oh, bloody hell, that's heavy. Right. Sorry if I'm in the way. Don't want to crack the casting. Back where we left off. On there. One on there. Come on, now it must go eventually. That just feels quite easy to screw in. Is that because it's pushing it off? Or is something bending? Is something giving? This is a mystery. But let's keep going. Am I pushing the centre of the... That's really easy now. Am I pushing the centre of the drive shaft out? Oh, I think I am, you know. I think it's that that's coming out. I think it's that that's being pushed out. Pushing the spline back through. Does that matter? I don't suppose it does, because it's gonna have the same effect, isn't it? The spline is coming out of the hub rather than the hub. That would explain why it's... Explain? That would explain! That would explain why it's going and going and going. No, I'm liking that now then. I think we're doing the right thing. So, always learning. Let's keep going. I don't know what will happen when we get to the end of the puller if the spline hasn't come all the way through or hasn't gone all the way through. Let's cross that bridge when we come to it. I think that's effectively going to pop out then, isn't it, at some point? But it's definitely easy now. You can see from how little effort I'm having to put in. So I think that's pushed the hub, rather than pulling the hub off the spline, I think it's pushing that. Always where your steel is. Always. Didn't actually fall on my toe, but it was very close, wasn't it? Put that back in there. Probably don't need that now then, it's that easy. But we are dangerously close to the end of the puller. So we're getting there. Puller is now almost fully extended. Fully inserted, feels super easy now. Is that? Way, look at that. Right. So I would call that a success because we've managed to dismantle it. And if we can dismantle it, we can clean it. If we can clean it, we can rebuild it. And if it's knackered, we'll get a new one. So let me turn you around and show you what's happened there. We know what we're doing now with the next one. So it's pushed it right out of the spline. This is the shocking thing. To be fair though, although it looks dreadful, this upright, it's no worse than the front one was. The question I've got now though is what's holding that on? And there's only one way to find out, isn't there? So let's put that back in there. Let's see if we can't get these nuts off. So now that that's gone all the way through and it's not pushing on the end of there anymore, we were pushing on that point, which is as it should be. But rather than pushing the hub off the spline, it's pushed the spline all the way through the hub. Is that a bad thing? I have absolutely no idea. We do have, which we didn't need at the front, did we? But we do have a 10-ton press. So if we've got to press that back in somehow, it's doable. These now should undo because nothing's tight. We get the puller off. I'm sure like me, you're itching to see what's going on under all this. But that hub would seem to be absolutely well and truly still on something. But I'm not entirely sure what, as the spline is out here. So I'll take this off. We're about to find out. Journey of discovery. Actually, even this, you know, not that I'm planning to use them as I've just mentioned, but even that back plate, I think, did they just call it a back plate? Even a back plate is not in terrible condition, but it's not going back on. It's not going back on. Right, let's get the puller off. I am absolutely none the wiser. So there we are, hub, back plate. Well, it is a bit crusty. Let's open this up, show you the front. So do we now have to press, I don't know if you can see that in there, but in the same way, there's obviously a bearing in it. We could press the whole of that out of this knuckle, for want of a better word, knuckle upright, and that would leave us with, I guess, a separate hub and a separate knuckle, separate upright. We could bash off the back plate and then we'd almost be down to our component parts. So, as we haven't broken anything yet, which is in itself a bit of a miracle, as I haven't managed to break anything, I will go and consult with the necessary paperwork and see how we press that out. It might mean dragging out the press. Right, got the hub back in the vise, and as you can see, this back ring doesn't appear be held on by anything other than being sandwiched behind the hub. So, in an attempt, as we don't need it, we come around the back of you and turn you around slightly like that, look, so you've got a better view of what I'm about to do. As we don't need it, let's see if we can't remove it by pretty much snipping it off. Looks to, yeah, it's in a bit of a state, so it's not difficult to clip through. Let's do that, and then we might have a clearer picture of what remains. Well, we will have a clearer picture of what remains. Yeah, so that's broken through. Which I guess means there's no reason why it shouldn't come off. Yeah. Superfluous requirements. So that is what we're left with. So let's have a look. We're getting ever closer to the component parts. Right, so in here, look. Yeah, okay. So that knuckle spins on what I guess is a bearing. We got this far. I can feel redoing the bearings coming on. So if that's sat in there, I'm not suggesting for a minute I'm going to tighten it up on the studs, but in theory there'll be a way of supporting this knuckle and pressing that out. Let me just grab a probe and show you what I think is going on here. So I think that is part of the casting. Yeah, it is. There is a kind of hole there, if you can see it. And I did wonder if that was a lock ring at one point. But I think from where I'm standing now, that doesn't look like a lock ring. Maybe it's just a place where, I don't know, you can get in or poke about, I don't know. So, seems to me that as that is spinning like that, we want to somehow support this, a bit like I'm holding it there, and then push out in that direction, this whole hub assembly. Hopefully I'm doing the right thing. So I think, without question then, we need to get out the 10-ton press. But before I do that, I'm just going to go and consult the oracle that is YouTube to make sure we're not about to force this through and bugger it up. But we will be down to, if we can get this apart, well, when we get this apart, we'll just have the bushing to take out of here. And we'll know what we're doing on the next one. Please click the like button, subscribe for more content of this nature. Join me again on the next one.